What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Bazz. Y'all tuned in to another episode of Ends Podcast. I'm excited about this one, man. This episode is going to be talking about, man, staying down till you come up, man. For real, staying down till you come up, man. And one of the iconic figures, man, that I'm going to use as an example of this motto and of this statement is the one and the only Berry Gordy, who did so much for the African American culture when it comes down to the world of entertainment, and then when it comes down to inspiring the black culture, not only in Detroit but around the world. You feel me? Having like fingerprints on most of the iconic entertainers of our history, of our culture. Berry Gordy did that, man. And the funny thing about it is Berry Gordy's story is really, really coming from the bottom and really trying to make it to the top, making the most out of your current circumstance. That's why I love the Motown. I love that, man. I don't even know how to put it, man. I love that shit, man. Motown Records, man, it did so much, man. As an entrepreneur, growing up, having that in my backyard was like one of the most empowering things for me, man, because I seen what he seen, man. Like, for real, I see it, man. I see it today. You feel me? I see it, man. Berry Gordy, man, like, first of all, he was born into a family where his mama had 8 children, his dad had 17. You feel me? He tried everything, many careers, you feel me? From owning record stores to working in the factory to being in the army to boxing. And then he just ended up finding his way into the entertainment industry, being a songwriter and things like that. But next thing you know, it's like he basically applied everything he learned into his own entrepreneurship, which would change history as we know it for the African American culture. You feel me? And what I mean by that is on the west side of Detroit, on West Grand Boulevard, he set up shop in a house, which is known as Hitsville now, but it was Motown Records, which he incorporated back in the 1960s, which was a lot of racial tension. During that time, especially if you were black, there's a lot of racial tension. Even in Detroit, we had the race riots. But he literally built it out of nothing, a 2-family flat, like, that he converted, basically just, like, he basically built the studio in a garage, and basically converted that, and it was making hits. So now it's like you compare that to today, where people be talking about, oh man, SoundCloud rappers, and it's people, man, they just making hits inside of closets and all this type of stuff. Bruh, we've been doing this, like, that is part of our history of doing this. Like, don't knock it. Yes, it might not be as good of a quality as you may want it to be. It might not be what you want it to be. But that is the bread and butter of this. I feel like Berry Gordy is one of the pioneers of that, making the most out of his current circumstance. And that shit's so empowering for me because he was doing that in Detroit. Come from that. You feel me? Like, I come from, that. Like, I see that. Like, he was, I don't know, like, I feel like, like, people like him would have flourished even more in his time due to, like, less barriers, more of an acceptance, more of an open playing field to play with. Because you got to think back in the 60s, there's a lot of racial, a lot of gatekeeping. It just that, like, he had to learn how to maneuver a vicious industry on his own during a real like hectic time, especially like I mean it's hard times right now being black, but back then being black it was a little different. But being able to create these magnificent sounds, and it's crazy because I drive past that place all the time, especially when I'm in the city. Like I see that place all the time, and that's why like my perspective is like, man, just taking whatever you got and making the most out of it. You know, making the most out of your current circumstance is the end's way, you know. So shout out to Berry Gordy, man. Like he did that and he embodied that, like, and was able to have an impact on so many different acts. Like a lot of y'all probably watch like the movie Temptations, and y'all see like even in Temptations, like excuse me, it takes place during that time where they were at Hitsville, which is right there on the boulevard, you know? So that is like iconic. Like you can go back and you can see that, you know. But it ended up moving to California. He ended up moving into California in the 70s. You know, due to various reasons. That's where, you know, everything was popping at, you know. But he was able to like work with like the Diana Rosses, the Michael Jacksons, you know, produce, you know, like help with like Broadway musicals like The Wiz, like work with Billy D. Williams, you know, like it's so much, you know, that like he has done. But it all just came through with that relentlessness, that making the most out of just where he was at, having a vision, utilizing the tools in front of him. And as we said in the podcast episode before this one, you know, utilizing those relationships around him, building solid relationships with the younger generation. So yeah, and it's like just working towards that, just creating, you know, opportunities for the younger generation, which that's what we also embody. So as y'all hear, like, you know, growing up in Detroit, learned a lot from Berry Gordy because his fingerprints, like, organically was a little bit on everything. That hustle, that grind, that no matter what it is, if I got to open a business in my house, I'll do it. We will live in the business, live with the business if we have to. But we gonna see this through. We gonna make this prevail. We gonna apply everything that we learned into what we're trying to do. So shout out to Berry Gordy. Man, shout out to you for listening, man. And I appreciate y'all, man. So, you know what I'm going to ask for y'all, man. It's all for free, man. Show that support, man. Like, share, subscribe. Hey, man, you got somebody from Detroit. You got a grandma, somebody. They probably know about Berry Gordy. Man, follow up with them, man. Ask. And if you appreciate this podcast episode, I just want to just show some love or just ask a question, man, send us a voice message, man. The link is in the description below. You feel me? And if you want to, you know, just, you know, check out some music or some vibe, man, go visit Ian's Music. That link is in the description below, man. But it's your boy Bazz, and I'm out.